for the first time in almost 3 decades, that creates, again, a burden for the employer to look at these investments and for product manufacturers to build a product that can deal with this type of shift.
Absolutely. I would look at it that way. At the end of the day, this is just another risk that we have to take in the equation that we talked about in the very beginning. And if you look about the risk drivers in a target date fund, the main risk driver still is the equity exposure. And I wouldn't advise participants or plan sponsors to shift a lot of money now from bonds into equity just because they think there might be some turmoils in the bond markets. It's like jumping out from the frying pan into the fire, if you want to say so. But what we need to understand is that there's an additional risk factor from the interest rates. So bond assets are not the safe harbor that they have been in the past decade.
And I think that you make some really good points. And I think one of the jobs that we both collectively have is to explain these concepts to employers, the fiduciary, who has a responsibility to select and reevaluate that selection of a target date product. But also the responsibility on the fiduciary is to educate the plan participant. And we know from 2008, and what I was talking about earlier, with the different vintages and the different types of products, that there's a level of additional scrutiny by regulators and legislators on what these products mean. So we've got to take the things that the concepts that you're talking about, that I'm talking about, that other people in our industry are talking about, and simplify it for individuals to make the best prudent investment decision for themselves. That's a challenge when you're talking about risk, when you're talking about things that you're doing, the layering, et cetera.
You're absolutely right. It is a challenge, but it is so important. It comes back to the thing that you need to know what the goals are. And everybody needs to be able to assess, am I on track to where I need to go, to where I want to go? And we're designing ways, tools, reportings that help both the plan sponsor and the participant to assess if they are still on track. For example, look at it that way. If you're an employee and you have $200,000 in your retirement savings account, that might seem like a lot of money. Does that tell you anything how close you are to your goal that you can retire at a certain age? It's very, very difficult. So what we need to get better at is to educate the participants. What does that really mean for their retirement? So one of the tools that we use is we inform people about the anticipated annual retirement income that they can actually receive from their retirement savings. And this is something that an employee can much better relate to and assess, am I on track? Do I need to save more? Am I saving enough? All these questions that people can answer and have to answer throughout their savings time, we have to help them to find the right answers and to be able to ask the right questions.
I think the key word is really collaboration. You've got to collaborate within your organization. You've got to collaborate with the record keeper. Mm-hmm. So if you're working with record keeper A, B, and C, you've got to be able to take this information and push it down to participants or push it to participants so they can understand it. That spirit of collaboration really helps you internally within Allianz build a better product, because you've got to work with the asset management folks, the portfolio folks, your folks. Everyone's got to come together to build the product.
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all doing this to help the participants to be able to retire. And anything that we can do to collaborate better and bring all our joint forces together, we should definitely do. So helping the employer and the plan sponsor to understand what do they need is very important. Once you know where you need to go, it's much, much easier to set up the plan. It's much easier than for us to work with them. The record keeper is another layer that we need to collaborate with, and we should never forget the participants. Nobody will up their savings if they don't even know what is it good for. So everybody has to work together because we're all working for the same cause.
One of the key issues that we're dealing with right now, and I think it underscores the importance of saving for retirement, is plan leakage. And you can read routinely in the popular press and in the periodicals, the industry periodicals, people taking their money out for retirement. Building a better target date fund, having people that takes into account longevity, takes into account today as well as tomorrow, is going to reduce potentially or minimize at least the plan leakage. Money coming out of the plan going into cash or going into an IRA or some other type of retirement vehicle. Maybe it's debatable whether that's the right decision or wrong decision, but what you want to do is probably create an investment vehicle that allows people to kind of stay in for the long term in and through their retirement.
Absolutely, and I think this is the big challenge of the industry that we're all working on. You need to connect the accumulation phase with the decumulation phase. I think we have very good products today for your savings phase, and there are good products for the decumulation phase. What we need to figure out is to put both parts together. And this can create a lot of different opportunities for the employees to adjust their savings behavior, because depending on what decumulation strategy you're choosing, you might even have a better retirement savings plan in place that better suits your decumulation plans. What do I mean with that? Let me give you one example. We have one client in Europe that we work with, and they are transferring all their money into an annuity. This is regulatory reasons. And if you think about purchasing an annuity at retirement, you have another factor of risk, there we go again, to take into consideration. Interest rates have a huge impact on the price of annuities. So we were setting up an accumulation strategy during the savings phase for these employees such that they are not exposed to the risk that annuities can become more or less expensive. So what we're doing here is we're really taking the concepts that we use for DB plans, LDI management, and employ them for this particular plan. So every plan is different, and every plan has a different decumulation strategy. But I totally agree, this is the big challenge, and there are so many opportunities to create even better products if you put accumulation and decumulation phase into one investment strategy.
And it sounds like the plan sponsors should really be allocating more time within their investment committees to this very important topic.
I think it's a really important topic that cannot be underestimated. Again, think about the role that the employee has in this equation. In a defined benefit plan, it was very easy for them. They knew exactly what they were getting, and there was no uncertainty. Now, they are left with all these decisions and all these risks. And what we have to do is help them make the right decisions and to manage these risks properly.
Tim Friederich, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jeff. A pleasure.
And thank you all for joining us on this edition of Staying Ahead of the Curve.